This week on Tillion Trillion, we're going to be talking about fertility, food, and the invisible work of rebuilding your body. I am joined by my dear friend Khirma, who is also the founder of Kika, a woman who went from working in fashion and having an amazing accessories brand to kind of rethinking everything she thought she knew about wellness after hitting a wall on her fertility journey. We talk about the pressure of having to try kids later in life, the wake up moment that changed everything for her, and why so much of what we're being told about nutrition and healthy foods, especially for kids, it's kind of BS. If you have ever felt like your body was being left behind, this one is for you. Kirma, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm so excited to be on this with you. I love what you're doing with this, and we've known each other forever. And it's so wonderful to see like our lives really come full circle in this way as well.
I know who would
It's
have
really
thought, who would
amazing.
have thought in our crazy Paris
Definitely not
life
us.
that here.
Definitely not us. No. But it's amazing. I would have it no other way,
Same.
really.
Same. I mean, you kind of had like one of those lives that everyone reads about in like in the books that seems super aspirational. You know, you were like a fashion editor, you had a super successful accessories business. What was going on internally while you were living the dream?
I think, like everyone in their 20s and 30s, they love it and they're having fun and they're like staying out till 3 and waking up at 7 and rolling into like the office to work. And, then life happens and you're like, I want more.
This
And,
got old.
you know, and I think for me, I'd met some really great partners, like great guys, but I never found the one, like my person. And then I turned 40 and I'd still not met him. And I was like, all my friends
But
were
weren't
getting
you in a
married.
relationship? But you
I
weren't.
was in, I was like a serial monogamous. Like I literally was in like a 3-year relationship. And then I'd be like, I don't know if he's for me or not. And my mom would be like, what is wrong with you? He loves you. He's doing so well for himself financially. I'm like, that's not the most important. I can support myself financially. I'm good. I want to find my person that I want a mini me of, and I haven't found that person yet.
Yeah.
So then I hit 41 and I was like, okay. I remember it was December 2017 and I was in LA visiting my sister and I was like, maybe I do a change. Like maybe I just move across the country and I just like need to get out of New York and start fresh. And I was like on the beach and I just started crying and I was like, why am I unhappy? I have everything I wanted. I have like this successful business. I have my store in the West Village. I made my list, I checked it off and I was like, okay, I have it. Now what? And I realized I just felt unfulfilled inside. Having a family was really always something that was so important to me, but I'd never really stopped to like have the family
Yeah.
because I was really I still am, but I was at that time, especially my 20s and 30s, I was so driven and so curious and just I love working, and I just kept going and going. And everyone I met was on paper, they were great. But then as soon as you had to like, not go to an event or not be there for something because you had to wake up at like 6 a.m. for your like 9 a.m. meeting with Bergdorfs and you couldn't, they were just not okay with you working when you actually had to work and it wasn't convenient for them.
Yeah.
So that's why I had never met him yet. And I
How do you
remember
manifest
sitting on
that?
the beach.
Oh, sorry,
I
sorry.
literally, no, I made that list of what I wanted and
Sitting
in
on
a
the beach.
person
Sitting on the
sitting on
beach.
the beach. I had like my like 14-year-old dog with me that I'd like flown to LA with me. You remember Ollie?
Yes.
He
Yes.
was a massive dog, 50
Yeah.
pounds when you could
Yeah.
bring your service dog on the plane. And and so my emotional support dog, to be fair, I had like a
Yeah.
massive vest for him. And we were sitting on the beach in Venice Beach, and I called my landlord at the store, and I was like, I think I need to make a change. I'm gonna close the store. I'm gonna really shift all my priorities. I'm gonna sell the brand, and I really want to think about what I want to do next. And he was like, okay. So for 2 years, I came back to New York, and for 2 years, a friend of mine had been like, "You should meet this guy. He's really like the kindest person. You're the kindest person. I feel like you would so fit. He has 2 kids." And I'm like, that's great, because at this point I'm 41. If like he doesn't have kids and
It's
he's never been married and he's not 10 years younger than I am, then maybe not for me.
yeah.
So, and then I was like, what's his name? And his name is so French. I'm like, is he French? And she's like, of course he's French. I'm like, no. She's like, what do you mean, no? I'm French. I was like, well, we're not dating, so
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not dating a French guy. They all complain all the time. Always there's something wrong. The only thing worse than dating a French guy is an Italian guy because they're louder about how they complain. And I knew this because all of my guy friends were Italian. So I was like, never dating you guys. We're going to be friends forever. Anyway, long story short, we closed my store February 9th. February 15th, we went on like a girls' dinner at Lucky Strike, like the old
Yeah.
McNally place on Grand Street, which I used to love. And we were sitting at the bar, and she's like, "Oh, my friend is gonna, he was around the corner with his daughter, and his daughter ditched him, and he's gonna come and meet us for drinks and dinner." And I was like, "What friend?" And she mentioned his name. I'm like, "The guy you've been trying to set me up with is coming." I'm like, A, I have no makeup on, bun on my head. I'm wearing my ex-boyfriend's t-shirt, I think. And like we're not going out to meet guys tonight. We like came as like a girls like drinking at like a random divey place.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, he came, he sat down, we started talking, and that was it. And it was really like that. That was really it. I still remember we were talking, and I was like, "You have children, right?" Because I knew. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Do you want more?" Who says that? No one says that. That is like rule number one. Girls, never say that. Anyone listening to this, don't say it. It just
Are
happened
you
to work
sure?
out for me at the
It
time,
worked out
but
for
just
me.
don't.
But it worked out for me. I told Adam on our first date too. So maybe it's actually
But
the
we
way
were
to
not
go.
on a date. You guys were already on a date. We literally had just met like 5 minutes earlier. Like you were officially on a date, which means you both wanted to be there and there was
Yeah.
already
Okay,
interest.
fair.
Like he had
Yeah.
literally sat down next to me at the bar, and within 5 minutes I was like, "Do you want more kids?" And his response right away was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay." And so we just kept talking, and it was just I was like, "What?" And my sister was there, my friend was there. It was like everyone disappeared at the bar. We ended up going to like Cafe Select in the back bar that no one knows about unless you're a New Yorker. And it was one of those New York nights, what New York is famous for, like the night that starts out as just like a drink and ends up at like 3 a.m. And I'm going home and I'm like, "Bye." And my sister's like, my
You're like, I'm
younger
moving to
sister
LA, by
is,
the way. Bye.
yeah, my sister's, yeah, I was like, "So I'm moving to LA in 10 days. All my shit's in storage. It was so nice to meet you." And I left. And my sister was like, "Did you get his number? Like, I've never seen you, A, make out with anyone." Oh, yeah, I left out that I went to the bathroom. He came and he kissed me. I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm French." I was like, "I'm not French." Like, what? But I am a little intoxicated, so okay. And
I'll
you're a
take
good
it.
kisser, so okay.
And you want to have
Long
kids.
story.
Perfect.
Yeah, and you already have kids. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I went home at 3 and with my sister, and at 7 a.m. I get bonjour. And I was like, "Huh." I was like, "Oh, you really waited a long time to text me." He goes, "I have kids. They're up at 6:30. Like, and you said you're leaving in 10 days, so we have to see each other every day until you go."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay." He like now you tell the story and he'll be if you ask him where we met, he'll be like, "We met at a bar," like how a guy would tell a story. But
Yeah.
if I ask him, he's like, "I knew right away." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I didn't know right away." He's like, "No, you knew. I knew right away also."
Yeah.
And we found a way to really make it work. I mean, there's a lot that goes into becoming part of a family that's already a family.
Yeah.
And then when we wanted to also add to that family, there's a lot that goes into that.
And what happened when you guys actually finally started trying?
Well, I remember we were just on vacation and we were like, "Let's see what happens." And we ended up getting pregnant, and we lost the baby at 10 weeks. It was really like, it was hard, you know? It
Yeah.
was one of those where you're like, oh, we're 2 weeks away from the safe zone and we could start telling people. And it was really, as you can imagine, devastating. And every cliche, like you go through like, what did I do? What, like how? And it's really something that could come between you if you don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And guys aren't really talkers, to be honest, you
Yeah.
know?
And as a woman,
So
you internalize everything and you feel guilty, especially because like you're a bit older. So you're like, wait, was it me? Is it my
yeah, it was,
fault?
yeah, exactly all those things. And I think the reason I knew this person is for me is because when I just sat him down, even though he's not like a talker, even to this day, he's like the amount that me and my daughter talk, like there's no room for anyone else to talk. But he's like, wow, she never stops talking, even in three languages. I'm like, I know. I wonder where she gets it from.
Yeah.
Um, but the most amazing thing is no matter what I talk to him about, he listens. And he's like, yeah, what can I do? And like how can I help? You know? And I'm like, you actually can't help, but just even talking about it is helping because I feel like you care too. He's like, of course I care. But a lot of times men think that if they show how upset they are, they make it worse, right? But really, and it depends on the woman, of course. But for me, it was like when I didn't see the sadness and the emotion and like I was crying on the inside and on the outside, I felt like maybe I was the only one who wanted it as badly, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
he was like, absolutely not. Like, I want it just as much as you. I just already, you went through it physically and emotionally, and I don't want to add to it emotionally.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when men don't want to add to it emotionally, it really adds to it because it makes you feel alone.
Yeah.
And you really just need to know that you're in it really together, like whether it's going well or whether it's, especially when it's going bad. It's like kind of easy to be together when it's going well. It's the same thing with any friendship, right? Like when you have a best friend and things are great and you're partying and you're doing all these fun
Right.
things, it's
Yeah.
amazing. But when really shitty, difficult things happen, it's really hard to find a person that you can really communicate with about it, that doesn't judge you about it, that even if they can't make you feel better, they're there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because like at the end of the day, I always tell my friends, even like the ones that like were single longer or ended up, you know, a lot of my friends got married way before me because they felt like they had to, you know, and I was like, you know what? For me, it's not time until I find the right person because I'm not going to have the patience to untangle myself from something that I don't want to be in for like the rest of my life.
Yeah.
When I'm in, I'm in. Like
Yeah.
that's it. So, I always say, I'm like, for me, even when it's shitty, but it's less shitty because I'm with this person. You know, the good times are way better and the shitty times are just a little less shitty.
Yeah.
And that's basically your best friend that you just always want to, you know, sleep with.
Yeah.
That's the key to a good marriage, you know? I think, I don't know, so far.
And then what,
Um,
I mean, so you guys finally like go through this. I mean, I think sadly it's something that so many of us kind of like go through, but then in a way it also put things into perspective and it kind of like shifts the gear
yeah.
of like, okay, like let's actually do this, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do
It
you
put a
guys
lot
go about
into
it after?
perspective. It put a lot into perspective for me. And I was like, wow, maybe this, you know, you go through everything. Is this a sign? Should we not be together? Is this like this? Is it me? Is it all of these things? And I remember going on like I went on my first ever kind of like retreat to like work on myself, just to really like be with myself a little bit and other people and just be able to speak about what's going on in my mind. Not that these other people had gone through what I'd gone through, but everyone goes through their own.
Yeah.
And I went away for a week to Costa Rica, and it changed my whole life, that trip, because it was the first time that I had made time for me and getting to know me. Because take stopping everything, because it's never the right time to take a
Yeah.
break. ever. And it's definitely never the right time to take a break for yourself, which is what I've been taught as like a child of an Eastern European mom. It's like
Yeah.
go, go, go. And like persevere, persevere, persevere. Like how tough are you? How much can you take? And just keep going. But what I've really learned is that when you take that moment, even if it's just a week for yourself, that week gives you the whole reset, right? And as like an alpha, a type A person, everyone there happened to be a type A person. And they were like, okay, well, what's the benefit I'm going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Like, what's like, how can I spin this? And the
What's my
reality was there was
ROI on
no,
this week that I'm going to be
yeah,
spending
what's the
in
return
this
on my
meal?
investment
Yeah.
of investing in myself? You know, like what's going to be the return of this?
Yeah.
And in the end, it was the best return on my investment I've ever made in my life because it taught me how to start the journey of rewiring myself, starting to do things that were better for me, starting to really know my habits and know that even though my habits work, they don't serve me anymore necessarily. And
Yeah.
maybe it's time to shift things, you know? There's a reason. And so it's interesting because when I came back from my trip, a friend of mine who was a bit older had just had a child and she had been trying to get me to go to her doctor for a long time. And I thought this doctor was just like a nutritionist, which not just like nutritionists are amazing, but I've always been healthy, you know? I've never
Yeah.
I've been so fortunate. You really take for granted your health when your whole life you've been healthy, you know? And I have many friends who haven't. I had like a best friend who had cystic fibrosis. I had all these friends who had all these like chronic illnesses, and I was always healthy. So I just was like, I don't need a
Well, you've
nutritionist. I don't
always
need these things.
taken care of. Like, I feel like you've always eaten healthy. You was always like exercise. Like, you were not
Always.
crazy. You know what I
Oh,
mean? So the
no, always. I was always
you.
the one that was like, you know, I was never like off the cliff. I was
Yeah.
always like just having fun, but I always knew how to pull myself back and I really enjoyed being healthy. I don't smoke because I'm horrible at smoking cigarettes. I just like look hilarious and just start coughing ridiculously. So I never did any of those things. So I was like, there's no way it's my health. There's
Yeah.
no way. And so when I went to see Dr. Francis, who is a functional MD and a naturopathic doctor, I went to her and she did the blood work on me, the same blood work that, like, you know, because at that point we were like, okay, maybe we need to we're going to go the IVF route because I can't get pregnant naturally. And we went to see all the top different IVF places in New York City, and we landed on this one that I knew that friends of mine were like, "This place is great," blah blah blah, and and then I went to go see Dr. Francis, Dr. Gabrielle Francis, which is this woman who's turned out to be like literally the woman who changed my life for so many reasons. She's just a really amazing human. But I didn't know that going into it. And I went and I met her, and she took my blood work and she was like, they're right. You're very fertile. You're as fertile as a 27-year-old. I'm like,
Great.
great.
Great news.
And
Give it to
good
me.
news.
Yeah.
What's the bad news? And
Yeah.
she's like, the bad news is not that bad, but really you are completely nutritionally deficient. Like
Oh.
your adrenals are completely depleted, all your vitamins, all your minerals. She's like, I don't even know how you're like walking around. You literally are like completely empty. It's like you're this beautiful car, this classic car with a hole in the carburetor, and everything that goes in is just going right through you. You're absorbing nothing. And the fact that you like look this good and you're still like just walking around like nothing's going on is it's a miracle, to be honest. Like you're so in the negative that it's like it's going to be a problem very soon. So this was in some ways like a godsend because like if I had not, it turns out the reason that we lost the baby was because my body was not in a place to carry the child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a chromosomal issue and all of those things, but which I could never have affected. But you know, it was devastating, of course, right? And so she said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you this shake, and it has everything you need to replenish the foundation of your body. and your body is like, let's think of your body as a garden. And so if you plant all organic seeds and you nurture it, then you have this like beautiful garden that then when you do a retrieval for your IVF, you are so in such a good place and you're so healthy that it's a better chance of having a very healthy retrieval. So I was like, okay, let's do it. She gave me the shake. It's like 20 different containers, like the gut blend, the reds, the greens, the probiotic. I know I'm very picky, but it was disgusting and it was expensive and it was worth every penny,
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm like, I will drink dirt to have a child. Like, I don't
Give me.
care. Like, give it to me.
Yeah.
I'll drink 3 of it a day. I'm like, Gaitan, you're going to have to drink it too because this is a us thing.
Yeah. This is
Plus,
a thing that
like it's a contribution on both sides. We have to be healthy on both sides. So I drank the shake. Within 3 months, I had a healthy retrieval.
Oh, wow.
And I was very fortunate to have the first implantation work. It was
But you know what is insane
and
here?
Kenza, my daughter, was the
Yeah.
first.
It's just so
Yeah.
like it's just baffling to me. Because you would think that what you're saying is common sense, right? Like you do a full body, like, test to see what your things are like and what like, it doesn't seem like something crazy to be asking your OBGYN or like a doctor that when you're doing like something as big as IVF and
But they don't do that.
They don't do
They
that.
don't do it. They don't. The doctors are not trained to look at you from a nutritional perspective. They're only looking at you from a hormonal perspective and a fertility perspective. So, I'm not saying everyone who's having fertility issues, this is their issue.
Oh, no.
Everyone has completely their own journey.
Yeah.
But for me, and like 8 of my friends, by the way, who all have multiple children now because they ended up also going to my doctor and she was able to help them get into a healthy place. It's something that people need to be aware of. Like when you are going through IVF, which is by far the darkest time I've ever gone through in my life. And I forget it now because now I have a healthy baby and I'm so happy and over the moon. And it was worth every single injection, patch, crying day, like all of it, right? It was worth it. Like I would never even, I would do it over a million times to have Kenza. But it was a really dark time. And it's a really trying time for you as a person, like as a human being, as a woman, but also as a couple, like on the reverse side, my husband had 2 healthy children without ever having to go through IVF.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now he's a bit older than me and we're trying, and it's a completely different way of doing it, right? It's not, and
it just also feels so unfair. Like because
I mean, that's like a whole other can of worms, like unfair, all those things. But the reality is like, put your energy into what you want to happen as opposed to how unfair it is and why no one else has to go through it and all those things, because the reality is you only have so much energy.
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny because now that we talk about energy and being tired after you have kids, you're like, oh my God, I never knew what tired was until now, tired. I was never tired before this, I had so much energy before this, but, it's like anything in life that you realize later in life, like the energy you spend thinking about what other people think or the negativity or like, why is this not happening to me? Or why is this happening to me? It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And you can do it. But what I've learned with all the internal work that I've been doing on myself for the past 4 years now is that energy is so precious, and that time, especially when you become a mom, is so precious. Like you're like, okay, where do I invest it? I'm going to invest it in me. I'm going to invest it in my child. I'm going to invest it in my relationship. I am not going to invest it in thinking about why it's not happening or why is that or why, like if it's not a scientific thing that's going to help me get to like
where you want to go,
a solution.
Yeah.
I'm just going to like it doesn't belong in my sphere right now because I'm so focused on what I want. And I've used that focus to build a business before, but it's really different when you're building yourself from the inside out and when you're building family, because I never thought I'd have to work so hard to build a family, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then same thing,
And
you finally have it, and then you're like, I kind of want to enjoy it. But like
yeah,
in your case, you also find yourself in a predicament because you're like, well, having a family has kind of brought me a purpose now, which is why you
yeah.
started Kika, you know?
Yes, exactly. So through my, through all of it, the why is this happening? What you were saying is like I got pregnant with Kenza and I had such a difficult pregnancy. I was like in the hospital 5 times. Like I had 3 fibroids. They were like, you really shouldn't be the one carrying. I'm like, well, it's happening. So like,
She's
let's
here.
go.
Yeah.
Like what's the point in even telling me that at this point? Like we're doing this and
Yeah.
like that's the other thing. Like doctors, like I'm half the time I'm like, can you really say that? Like, why would you even say that? You're also a mother of like 3. Like, why would you ever say that to anybody? Like, I'm already pregnant.
There's
Like,
like
this
no
is
bedside manners. You're
happening.
like, yeah, if you're
Like,
not
let's
gonna
just
tell
make
me,
it
don't say
easier,
it to
right?
me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So while I was 6 months pregnant, at this point, I had stopped the handbag line. We were coming out of COVID because it was 2021, and I had stopped the handbag line and I was really trying to figure out what would be next, but I had been concentrating so much on getting pregnant, especially through COVID and all of that, that I was like, what is next? And I remember I had Dr. Francis over at one point for dinner while I was 6 months pregnant because we had become friends at this point, and I was like, why does it taste so bad? And she's like, what? I'm like, your shake. Like, why is it so horrible? She's like, honey, it's not that bad. I'm like, it is that bad. Like, it really doesn't taste good. And like, I know everyone drinks it and I drank it and I'm happy to drink it. But like, after you've already kind of like accomplished your goal of having a child, like, there's no way I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day drinking something that tastes this horrible. Like,
And also paying like
um,
like whatever, what,
and
$600,
it's
whatever. Like, yeah.
expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
But why can't we make this easier? Like
Hmm.
why is it? And so I started looking online and I was like, what could I find? What could I find? And we started doing like comparison charts of everything out there from like a fertility perspective, from a wellness. And then I was like, the only thing I'm really going to care about when this little one comes out is her health the most, right? Like I want to make like what is out there for kids so I can make sure that like she's healthy. And I had 2 other stepchildren in the house that were older, and I was always like, what are they eating? Like I want them to be healthy also. And so I was like, we need to make this easier. Like, why? We need to make this one scoop, not 20. It has to like have all the functionality, because the part of the reason it was such a hearty shake is because it's at a functional dose. There's so many things out there now that are like, it's all included. And it's like 1% of it is included. So really, like, there's no point in even including it except so you could list it, right? It's like, it's called like marketing, marketing dosage. It's a marketable dose, right? I want a functional dose. If I'm going to make myself drink something every day or make it part of my ritual, like I want to know that it's going to work. It's going to help me with my immunity. It's going to help me thrive. Like I didn't go through all of this to have a child so we can have like the bare essentials, right?
Yep.
You're going through this so you could thrive in your life, so you can have energy, so you could accomplish whatever you want to. And that's what you want for your kids too. Like
Yep.
that's the number one goal for your kids, so that they're healthy, they're not sick every 5 minutes, and that they like thrive cognitively and they thrive physically.
Yep.
And so we sat down. This was 5 years ago when Kenza was like in my stomach. She's like now 4.5.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let's do this. Like, I want to build something that changes the way like you get to take care of yourself and your family. And long story short, the name of the company is Kika, and it's like an all-in-one nutritional supplement powder. And it basically blends into everything. So you can make a shake, or we created it so you have it with a probiotic that you can cook with also, so it doesn't lose its effectiveness. Like the idea is it needs to be easy. It needs to be clean, like so clean that you would give it to your 2-year-old, which is
Yeah.
pretty clean for me,
Yeah.
and functional enough that it's going to work for the whole family. Because what I learned after I had Kenza was I stopped taking the shake because Kika wasn't ready yet,
Yeah.
obviously. But
And you were like, okay, I'm
um,
done. I have the baby.
I'm
I'm
like,
good.
I'm done. Like, I did this. I drank this already. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Like I have the
You're-
baby.
Yeah.
And Dr. Francis was like, honey, whatever you do, don't stop taking the shake. And I was like, okay. And who has time when they're breastfeeding,
To
barely
be-
showering, all of these things to like make a shake that you don't like how it tastes
Yeah.
and make yourself drink it? I didn't do it. The result was I went into postpartum. I like spiraled, and my postpartum was late. It wasn't from the beginning. Like I breastfed Kenza. Again, no one tells you this. I
No, yeah.
breastfed my Kenza until 5 months because it was during COVID. I did not get the vaccine while I was pregnant because I had had so many complications and I almost lost the baby so many times that I was like, there is no way if I've gotten this far, I will like incubate myself, but like I am not getting this vaccine
Yeah.
until she's out. When she's out, then I can put it in me, but I'm not going to let it touch her. So as soon as I had her, they gave me the vaccine at the hospital after, and they were like, start breastfeeding her because as you're breastfeeding her, you're giving her the vaccine so she can like build her immunity as well. So part of the reason I breastfed for as long as I did was because of that. I wanted her to have the vaccine. But I also, like every mom has their own breastfeeding journey. I had a very difficult time producing milk, so I had to supplement with formula. And at one point at 5 months, I was like, okay, she has it in her now. Like, I'm
We're good.
done. Like, I can't do this. When you're at like 5 months, you're like so in the thick of it. You're just like, you don't know what to do. It's your first child. I was
Yeah.
43, like I'm like an older mom also. So like, it was just like so many things. And I basically just stopped, like within a week I had stopped. And no one told me that you cannot quit breastfeeding cold turkey because what happens is essentially you will spiral into postpartum because the breastfeeding gives you the like it's basically like having like oxy, like so you're like you get such a high from breastfeeding, your body gets such a high from breastfeeding, so if you take it away right away without weaning yourself off of it, you could literally spiral into postpartum, which is exactly what I did, not knowing,
Yeah.
right? Because no one told me. And
Yeah.
I remember reaching out to like my fertility clinic and my OBGYNs. They're like, there are these groups you could join. And I'm like, are you joking? And at one point, Dr. Francis checked in on me. This is like, now I'm at 6 months, right? So like, I'm like, there's no way it's postpartum, but I'm crying every single day in the shower. Like my hair is falling out in clumps. Like I'm crying every day in the shower, twice a day. And I'm still totally obsessed with Kenza. So I didn't have that, like, I don't want to be with my
Rejection.
child. I just hated
Yeah.
myself. It was all towards myself. And I remember talking to Dr. Francis. She's like, honey, you haven't been in a while. Like, we should check you. How's your postpartum coming? Like, and I was like, I'm not feeling great. And so she took my test results and she was like, oh my God, you're even more depleted than you were before you had Kenza, which is obviously logical because I was giving her everything, right? And she's like, did you stop breastfeeding? And I felt like I was in the principal's office. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And she was like, so you have postpartum depression right now. And like, you're not going crazy because if you think you're going crazy, you're actually not. It's completely hormonal. So I was like, oh my God, I'm not going crazy. Oh my God. Like, because,
Yeah.
because you hear about postpartum, no one's talking about it. I like, still to this day, I mean, now people are talking about it in magazines. I went through it. I this, I that. And that's wonderful that people are talking about it more, which inspired me to be a little bit more vocal about it. And she put me on the shake right away. And within 2 weeks, I was like balanced out. again.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, okay. So what has this taught me? This has taught me that I can't forget myself, because if I forget myself, there's no one around to take care of the one thing that like just took me 3 years to create and I
Yeah.
love so much. And I want to be the best mom for her and for myself. And so if I don't take care of me, then I'm not taking care of her, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to take care of me just for the sake of taking care of me. It's not my personality. Some people are like that and they're like, it's me time. And
Yeah.
you know what? There's so much I can learn from those people, because everyone needs me time. And that's basically like the biggest lesson I've learned through this whole journey is me time is the most important, and it doesn't have to happen in massive bulks of like going away for 10 days. Like even if you give it to yourself 20 minutes a day, you find a soundtrack that you like that like calms you down when you're walking back or driving back from drop off from the kids, or all of these things, you know, and becoming things becoming a ritual are so important. Like that's why for me, Kika was something, now in hindsight, I'm like, I never would have created this had I not gone through this experience that taught me the importance. So as Kenza was born, my purpose was born too. You know, it's so exciting for me to be able to create something that is going to make it easier for parents to take care of themselves and their family at the same time. And just education is so important. It's not just about like selling a product. It's like, why do you need probiotics? Why do you need protein in your life? Why do you need vitamins and minerals? And why do you need fruits and vegetables? What do they do for your body?
Yeah.
It's the same thing I went through when I was like at IVF, and they were like, okay, so you have to take this shot and this patch and this and whatever. And I was the annoying patient that was like, why? And they're like, what do you mean why? And I'm like, well, I just want to know why, and also what is going to be the results, because if I'm going to become psycho from putting 2 patches on my body, I would just like to know that in advance, so then I know that I'm going to be psycho and I don't all of a sudden think I'm just going crazy for no reason, you know? I want to know why, and I want to know what is going to be the result. And that is exactly how I built Kika. Like, why do you need it? What is the result of putting this into your ecosystem? And how is it going to shift things, you know? And my dream for Kika, of course, is to you know, get it into all of our homes and make life easier for us, but you know, eventually also get it into public school systems, into hospitals where you're there for extended periods of time and you need that nutrition to get better. You know, like I remember being in the hospital for 3 days after having Kenza and having the C-section, and I was like, okay, what is there to eat? You know, like, and there's a shake, but it's full of like 20 grams of sugar, you know, and you know, it's really exciting, and it really does show that if you just trust in yourself and move forward, but also really learn to listen to yourself, because you usually know what's going on. It's just that you're not listening. I knew those things were going on with my body. I wasn't listening. I was doing everything else for everyone else and concentrating on anything else but myself. And as a result, the only reason I listened was because I couldn't get what I wanted. I mean, for us to not get what we want, okay, why not?
Exactly.
You know, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
how are we going to change that? And the answer was, you have to change everything
You're like, great. And then
about what you're doing. And I was like, but
do it in a way that is
what?
easy then if I have to do that.
Yeah, it's like the hardest thing from the inside out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a really exciting place to be now. We're like, you and me are having the conversation now. I remember mentioning Kika to you years ago, and I'm like, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. And it's like 52 iterations later, 5 years of testing, like third-party testing for pesticides, for heavy metals, for everything. And we literally shipped this week. I'm like,
Yay, congrats.
I mean, it's such a full circle moment, and we're just getting started. But
meaning it doesn't taste like anything. So my kids
it
don't
tastes
even
like
know
nothing.
that I
Yeah,
am.
I'm so excited. When you told me that, I was like, yay! That's the point. It tastes like nothing. You can cook
Well,
with it. So
we make different reiterations with different fruits and stuff like that, and it makes it very easy. But what I really found shocking, when you started telling me about all this, was kind of everything that was going on the vitamin aisle, because a lot of us take vitamins on a daily basis, so we think we
yeah.
are already very much being healthy. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's actually happening and like debunking the myths that all this like vitamin supplements that we're taking every day are actually doing it all for us?
I mean, I think the best way that I've now found from like the rabbit hole I've gone into with like meeting with nutritionists, neurosurgeons, like pediatric neurologists to talk about like brain function, gut health doctors to understand how feeding your body feeds literally is feeding different parts of your body. So like it affects your cognitive response. Your gut health is so important, not just as an adult, but as a child too. There's so many kids that have allergies and like eczema and different things. And the parents are like, there's nothing, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. And we've done so much research now that one of our advisors is like an expert in gut health in pediatrics. And she says, like, parents, they think because a child is so young that their gut is healthy, but the reality is a lot of times when you have a C-section, that affects them negatively. They don't have the gut lining that they need. The food that they're eating, even though it's organic, it's pretty depleted. So just because of, especially in the United States, how our earth is so depleted, you can literally eat like a big like thing of broccoli this big and you're getting like 1/10 of what you need of your vitamin intake from that broccoli. So it's amazing to have them eat it because they need to have, and we need to have it as a habit of eating healthy fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
But I've really found that you have to supplement with food grade supplements. And food grade supplements means it's coming from actual food. It's not like synthetically made. It's all of the nutrients and all of the vitamins are coming from actual food, like fruit and food.
So like the Flintstones,
And
like my little Flintstones.
yes,
Little
so the Flintstones we had were really cute, and I think our parents felt like good that they were giving us something, but really they were giving us sugar.
Oh,
And so and that's, but it was cute and it was fun. And now, like, there's this whole gummy craze where you're getting like the omega gummy and the multivitamin gummy and the this gummy. And the gummies are, my mom's a dentist, right? The gummies, by the time they're like age 7, they're all of a sudden the parents are like, why does my child have 4 cavities? And I'm like, well, because they can't brush their teeth at 2 or 3 years old appropriately. And they're eating these gummies and the gummies are getting stuck. And like, then you have cavities that you have to deal with later. So we decided not to do it as a gummy and to do it as a powder that you can put in anything. And I think it's also really important. It's really hard to know how to read a nutritional panel. Usually when you can't pronounce it, like it shouldn't be in you, like, and
what's also wrong with the dosage? Because I know that there's like an issue with the
dosage,
of
right?
like vitamin. Because technically, if I'm taking a normal multivitamin, it tells me that I have 100% of everything I'm supposed to have, and I take that one pill and go. What's the difference between that and Kika?
Well, so there is an RDA, which is called the recommended daily allowance for like vitamin intake. And that RDA is based on like 50 years ago. So like when we had like scurvy, they have not updated it since then. So like the vitamin D intake we were supposed to take 50 years ago is very different than what we are supposed to take now because we've learned so much since then. But since that has not been updated, a lot of brands use the RDA recommended daily allowance, which is like a smidge of like what you actually need, like, but when you go to like a naturopathic functional doctor, the doctor will be like, you need this much, not this much. Like it's the functional dose is what's going to actually move the needle, right? The
But
market dose
seriously, you're
is going to
telling me that
be
like all the panels on every vitamin that we buy in like most of the stores,
not all of them, but a lot
a
of
lot of them,
them are not all of them. A lot of them are at a
based on the
market
dosage that
dose.
was from 50 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
That's
And
insane.
so, but it says like vitamin A, B12, like it says
Yeah,
the list of all
yeah,
vitamins you're looking for your child, right? But it doesn't, but because you don't know, then you just are like, well, I'm giving it to them, right?
yeah,
And I
exactly.
think also what I noticed was it's really hard to guess what, like, okay, I'm going to get probiotic from this brand and I'm going to get my multivitamin from this brand and I'm going to get my protein from this brand and I'm just going to stack all of it together. And then when you try to give it to like a little person, they're like, are you crazy? Like, I'm not taking that.
Yeah,
Like, good luck. And so you've now spent all this money on all these different products that you've researched that your child does need
yeah,
protein and your child does need omega and your child
protein, yeah,
does need a
probiotic.
probiotic. Like
Yeah,
they do need these things that will help them be, you know, sick less and boost their cognitive function, all of these things. But how do you know which one's best? And how do you know like if you combine them the way that you figure,
yeah,
it's like a crapshoot. You're like, this stack is A, really expensive, and B, I hope it works. So we basically took everything in that stack and put it together. And it took us a long time because it really tasted horrible for
yeah,
a long time. I was
yeah.
like, no, this tastes like the original shake, not up
Well,
there.
also like one
And
thing is you and me, and another thing is trying to give your kids something that's not
yeah,
taste good because they're just
exactly.
really never gonna take
They
it.
just won't,
Period.
like, it could be the healthiest thing on the planet,
Like,
but
no
they
worries.
just won't take it. And
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do to convince a 4-year-old, an 8-year-old, or a 16-year-old to take something that doesn't taste good. They
yeah,
just won't take it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so we really strived to make it unflavored. And then I was like, how many people, maybe you're not a shake kind of family, like who you might not have time every morning to make a shake, right? So we have to make it a little bit more flexible, like because our lives need to be flexible because that is literally the motto of our life. Go with the flow or else you're really going to be unhappy,
Yeah.
you know? So the flow has to go with your everyday. And so I was like, you have to be able to cook with it. And so that was another hurdle. We were done. And then I was like, wait a minute, we need to be able to cook with it. And they were like,
No.
okay, so let's go back to the drawing board. And
What do you wish more moms would know about when it comes to nutrition?
um, I think that a lot of times, even most of my friends, and they're assuming that everything that their children and their families are getting everything like a sufficient amount of vitamins and protein and minerals just from what they're eating. And what I have found from this really deep, dark, this rabbit hole that I've gone down of like really understanding nutrition is it's not enough. And it's
Yeah,
just not. It's
yeah,
like and it's not anything we did. It's not our fault. It's just really like it's humans' fault, but the earth is just completely depleted. And 10 years from now, it's going to be like you're literally eating like an empty broccoli.
yeah,
You know, you're
yeah.
eating like an empty apple. It doesn't mean we shouldn't eat it, but we need to kind of be realistic about the fact that we need to supplement with clean supplements also. Food and food grade supplements are where we're going to get to where we need to because we're going to see less tantrums. We're going to see like, even our kids that are older, they're playing sports, they're doing all these things. Like, look at the product you're giving them. I never even used to look at it. I'd be like, oh, it's such cute packaging and this, and like, it looks so, and there we go. Like my naivety, I'm like, it says organic. You know how
Yeah.
many things say organic? Like, flip it over. Look at what's actually in it. If it has one organic thing in it and they say organic on the front, then,
Yeah, probably not the
Find a
right.
different product. Yeah.
I wanted to kind of close out, and I know a lot of women, because I am going on my fertility journey, and I think a lot of women that are following us are there too. And you tend to really like blame yourself as a woman for it too, you know. What would you tell them, and what would you tell kind of like the old version of yourself that was trying to get pregnant and blaming her body?
I mean, I have zero regrets, is what I'll say. Like, I had fun in my 20s, I had fun in my 30s. Maybe if I had met my person in my 30s, I would have chosen to have kids earlier. But I was really focused on my business and excited to be focused on my business. I built my whole business from nothing, and now I'm doing it again at 48. You know, like at 48, I'm like, oh, let me give myself something to do and start a business again, you know, like crazy. But it feels so different now. And I am so happy I waited to find my person because it makes all the difference. At least for me, it's made
Yeah.
all the difference. Like all the choices, whether they're difficult or good or anything, it's so different when you're with the right partner. And it's worth the wait. You're worth the wait, you know? Like it's for all of my friends who ended up, a lot of them ended up getting married and because it was time.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are unfortunately either not as happy or, you know, their marriages ended up falling apart. And I'm not saying that when you get married younger, that's what happens. I'm just saying if you haven't found your person and you have so many other things you want to do, it's not just that. Like it's not a there's no reason to be hard on yourself. I remember my mom being like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Nothing. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, why are you saying there's something wrong with me? I just built this brand and the bag is in Bergdorf Goodman and we're selling all these places.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with me because I'm not married and I don't have a kid? Like, nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. I haven't found my person. And frankly, if I hadn't found them, maybe I wouldn't have a kid right now. But I knew that like I didn't want to have a child with somebody unless I wanted a mini me of them, right? And that's how I chose that I wanted to have my family in that way. And I know so many amazing women who didn't find their partner but really wanted to have a child and went and did it on their own. And I'm like completely in awe of them because it's so hard to raise a child even with a partner, right?
Yeah.
Let alone doing it on your own, like the weekends that they're gone and you're solo parenting, like those
Yeah.
amazing super moms that are really doing it on their own. I mean, that's just like my hat is really goes off to them because it's not easy at all,
I think there's
but it's
also something to be
amazing.
said about divine timing, you know, and you had your first baby, which is, you know, your accessories brand, and then that kind of flew away, and then you met someone when the time was right, and then, you know, I love how the process of becoming a mom kind of like gave you a new purpose, and
Yeah.
here you are with your third baby, which is
Yep.
Kika, which everyone
Yeah.
is, you know, it's now finally on sale. I've been waiting for months. I had the samples. I had to find them for a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's finally out, you know, and I think that we all think that they were all working on this one timeline that kind of works for everyone. It's just not the reality of it. At the end of the day, everything kind of happens for a reason, as cheesy as it is. And here we are. You
Yeah.
have a beautiful child, you have a beautiful family, and we all have Kika. So we don't have to be like trying to like make you shake
Yeah.
like 25 things. So
It's never too late to go
yeah,
after what you want.
yeah,
And like that's really it. Like whether it's a family or starting something new or just changing everything. Like it's really like you have what it takes inside. You just have to like believe enough in yourself to do it, you know? And
yep.
that's really it. Like that's the bottom line. If you believe in yourself, like that's it. It's the same thing when I was trying to have Kenza, you know. I like most people through IVF, like you hit a wall where you're like, I don't know if I can take this anymore. Like, can I really do this again? Like, can I do another retrieval? Like, am I going to survive this? And for everyone, the answer to that question is totally
Absolutely.
personal,
Yep.
right? And some people decide no, and other people decide yes. And for me, it was yes. So I found my way to it. And I'm very fortunate because a lot of times, and I realize how fortunate I am because even we when the implantation worked from the first time, only after did the doctor say, "Did you know only 18% of the first implantations actually take?" And I was like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just the truth. Like, luckily, they've learned to not tell you that before the first implantation, they tell you after.
Yeah.
But you realize how lucky you are and how grateful you are.
But I think that, I think that the nutrition part of it gives you a sense of agency
Yeah,
during the process, which I think is important because often it just kind of feels like all these things are happening to you and there's nothing you can do to make them better. And,
right.
personally, also my experience with the first round of IVF was very much like, well, let's just do it again and not change anything. And what I like about this second time around is given, doing all the things and obviously quitting alcohol and gluten and all the things and then, taking the shakes, etc. It's giving me a sense of like, okay, well, I do have the power to do my part and then believe in God and whatever we all believe in and like thinking that there's a reason for things that we're going to end up getting what we need, even if it's not what we want, right? And I think that that's what's so important about the work that you're doing too, because in a way you're giving it sense back of it's not control, because we have no control, and that's something that we all learn very quickly in any sort of journey, wherever you are in
Yes.
the journey, you realize that there's
Zero
no
control.
freaking control. But we do have a sense of
Zero.
agency and like showing up for ourselves and kind of like what you're saying, like
Yes.
giving time to ourselves and like making sure that we are not depleted so we can give the best of ourselves. And that's what I really love about Kika and what you're doing and the purpose of your brand. And I really think that it kind of like plays throughout, like, because it was born out of something that you needed, like most amazing products are, and we all do. So thank you so much for
Thank you. This was
putting this product
wonderful.
out there, for giving us all a sense of agency when it comes to our bodies and when it comes to also like helping our families be better suited for the world out there that we're all living in right now, which already feels kind of crazy and daunting. And thank you for taking the time this morning to talk to us and learning more about Kika and your journey. And you're such an inspiration to me, and I'm sure you're going to be such an inspiration to many other moms and women out there. So congratulations. I'm so
Thank
honored
you
to be
so
your friend.
much. Thank you. And likewise, babe. I love